Coming up on this episode of One-on-One Sports,
we recap the exciting NCAA tournament,
preview the NBA playoffs,
and talk some of those memorable ejections in sport history.
All that and so much more.
And it all starts
right now. Hello and welcome to this episode of One-on-One Sports. I'm Matt Holzapfel.
And I'm Andrew Vendelis. It has been a great week in sports. Before we get to that, Matt and I are going to jump in with the quick hitters. A recent report came out last week which detailed the downfall of the Green Bay Packers' promising would-be dynasty, shaking the sports world in the process. From head coach quarterback controversy to second-guessing at every turn, the once almighty Packers became a real-life soap opera, ultimately leading to Mike McCarthy being fired after 12 seasons. Matt, what was your reaction to hearing about this?
I was shocked because on the surface, this was a team that was good for so long and it had so many talented pieces, and it seemed like Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers got along. And before we dive into what the report said, yes, Aaron Rodgers has kind of disputed some of it, and that's okay, but this is still an explosive report. Coaches falling asleep in meetings, the GM firing people that didn't get along with, Aaron Rodgers liked the QB coach, Mike McCarthy fired him. That's insane. This whole thing is crazy.
Two things really stuck out to me. One quote was Rodgers changed about a third of McCarthy's plays. That's incredibly scary, and no wonder Rodgers was always on the run playing backyard football with his receivers. The players read Green Bay's offense like a book, it said, so no wonder he was audibling, and that gives me a lot more respect for Rodgers because we know quarterbacks like Peyton Manning love to do that in his career, but Rodgers earns my respect there. But as much as Rodgers is a part of the problem, the report said, he is as big as a part of the solution. He's not reaching out to other players, coaches, family members like you imagine. Is he a leader? He's having problems holding grudges, allegedly, especially against McCarthy, passing on him in the draft, allegedly gave him a chip on his shoulder, and he allegedly said Mike McCarthy had one of the lowest IQs, if not the lowest IQ of any coach he's ever had.
I just read all my notes. But anyway, what I want to add to that is that this is something that nobody, and obviously it's been disputed, but now players have said things in favor of this report too. There are multiple players who have gone on radio shows and TV interviews who are saying this happened, this is true. And that's crazy because these are players who we thought respected Aaron Rodgers and respected Mike McCarthy. And a team that for so long was so good because it was the Packers. They're going to make the playoffs.
The thing is, it seems like they've been on cruise control for 5 years and just coasting their way through. And I really hope the Packers can turn this around now with the new coach, because you have the Bears emerging as a long-term, seemingly threat to the NFC North. And teams like the Vikings could also get hotter, making this a much more competitive division. Sorry, Detroit, but still.
And Rodgers isn't getting any younger, too. Keep that in mind. Over the weekend, Oregon women's basketball star Sabrina Ionescu announced that she would be returning to the Ducks for her senior season. This is not a new trend in women's college basketball. We've rarely seen players leaving college early to head to the pros, and it's even less common to see players leave after just one season, as is now very common in the men's game. Andrew, is Ionescu making the right decision to come back to Oregon, and will we ever see the one-and-done transition to the women's game like it has affected the men's game?
I don't think we're going to see that transition for a long time, as long as the WNBA doesn't get the funding or the ability to pay their athletes like the NBA does. Think about this. There's less job security, so I really do applaud Ionescu for coming back, finishing her school nevertheless, and also the hunger to get a national championship. But I want to talk about these salaries. Average WNBA salary, $70,000. Minimum NBA salary, $830,000. Just think about that pay gap right there. So if you're a women's college basketball star looking to go pro, we often see people go overseas to get their start or finish their degree and become coaches, i.e. Coach Charlotte Smith, and finishing up her career after going to play in the Olympics and overseas. There's just less job security.
The average NBA salary is $6.2 million. That's the highest in all professional sports. We have come to expect that when athletes retire, they are set for life, because that's just what we expect from the NBA, the MLB, the NFL, and that's fine. But that's not the case in the WNBA. These players have to get their degrees because they have to get jobs after they retire, after they're too old. The one thing I want to say about this before we move on, A'ja Wilson was by far the best player in women's college basketball this season, first overall pick, Las Vegas Aces. Her first year, she made $52.5 thousand. Some of us will make more than that in our entry-level jobs. That is absurd.
I agree, and it makes me happy to see that Coach Kelly Graves for Oregon says that Ionescu is chomping at the bit to get back to the Final Four. I really want to see that happen.
She's fun to watch.
When Steph Curry pulls up at the three-point line, many feel as if the point guard is invincible from beyond the arc. That was until he announced that he would start wearing contacts to help his eyesight and his shot. Yes, you heard that right. Steph Curry needed contacts to shoot better. In the next game since, Curry's 20/20 vision allowed for him to dish out 7 dimes against the Lakers. Matt, what do you make of all this?
What?
What?
What? This is the guy who is already the best shooter in the game of all time, has broken multiple records, and he said he just got used to what it looked like. His percentage has already gone up 5 points since March 16th when he started wearing them. I can't even make it to my bathroom sink before I put my contacts in. And he's here splashing threes, making fantastic passes and dribble moves. It's insane.
I forget which athlete said it on Twitter, but they said this is like adding a scope to a gun. You're telling me Steph did all this without 20/20 vision? How blind was he? Like, 0.5, I don't know. I'm not going to get into the specifics.
It could have been terrible.
It's ridiculous. Maybe you could excuse why he's had some up and downs like in certain games throughout the years, but he's been consistent. As you mentioned, one of the best shooters, if not of all time. This NBA is in for a ride with 20/20 Curry. He dropped 40 points in a subsequent game as well. Maybe he can finally see a Finals MVP.
Yeah, he's got 5+ threes in nine straight games after that happened. So, I mean, look out, NBA. He just got better.
I'm speechless.
Yeah. Final Four weekend brought us crazy shots, exciting finishes, and even some good old-fashioned controversy. At the end of the Virginia-Auburn game on Saturday, Kyle Guy was fouled while attempting a three-pointer at the buzzer and then went on to stick all 3 free throws to win the game. Perhaps even more controversial, however, was when CBS Rules analyst Gene Steratore stated after the game the referees had missed a double-dribble call on UVA's Ty Jerome in the final 10 seconds. Andrew, is this a good idea to have them state this when the game had already ended, or just add fuel to the fire?
Yes and no. There's no use in crying over spilled milk at Auburn and Texas Tech I'm talking about. It's fine to point stuff like this out, but I think we saw a similar situation with that and the Rams-Saints game in the NFC Championship game. They overlooked other fouls to focus on the one that could potentially or did change the game. Gene Steratore was just doing his job. It's not necessarily bad that he did it. The man was an NFL referee, so it's just second nature for him, but it's kind of coulda, shoulda, woulda, new champs Virginia, yada, yada,
I
yada.
hated this, and here's why. I love Gene Steratore on the broadcast. He was a great referee. He did it for the NFL. He did this for the NCAA basketball now. That's fine. You clarify things, great. The game is over. What do you gain by having him say that? You just pissed off all the Auburn fans who maybe either saw it or didn't see it. Now they see it. You've made so many people mad. And Bruce Pearl, the coach of Auburn, said it's in the past, nothing we can worry about. But of course fans are heated at this.
I'm pretty shocked that a man as passionate as Bruce Pearl, kind of took it in stride, if anybody.
Yeah, the game was over.
Yeah,
you could not have him
honestly
on national TV saying, oh, by the way, this should have not happened.
It's just really touchy because he's doing his job, but did he do it well? No.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have left for the quick hitters, but when we come back, I'll be joined by Luis and Zach to discuss some early impressions of the MLB season.